I've been here before, so I don't have to do too much of an introduction, but my name is Chip Dodd with Support Services of Virginia Incorporated. We're a human services company that supports people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the community. I took over in 2005 as my mom's succession plan, the worst type when your parent dies of cancer, and I've been the son that was tapped to take over. And so unlike you guys who are startups and building your own companies from the ground up, I did kind of take a falling down company that was going into debt and out of business and built it back up to where we are today. Roughly triple the size and very close to being debt free and very slightly profitable every single year. Although in human services companies, profit usually is not your motive. It's more of a mission-based motive. So why we invest the money back in. So that's just a little tiny bit of background on my experience and how I came up with the presentation titled The Entrepreneur's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, and why what you don't know will land you on the menu. I've had such fun writing this, even though it scared the crap out of me the majority of the time, because I'm actively running from anywhere from 4 to 6 large zombies that are trying to bite me as we speak. And so I'm taking a slight break to do this presentation. I'm going to get back to work right afterward. So right out of the gate, have you guys seen Zombieland, the movie? I mean, if you haven't, you've lived under a rock, because it's one of the best movies ever, especially related to business and life. And I have learned, I actually printed out the zombie rules, and I've had these posted next to my desk, because the vast majority of the zombie rules from that movie can be directly applied to your life. And as I was writing this, I was like, there's zombie rule number that, there's zombie rule number that. So I realized this would be kind of a fun way to encapsulate being an entrepreneur and really what it's like, not the sexy, oh, get a startup, you'll be great, you'll be rich, it's gonna be so much fun making your widget because everybody's gonna buy from you, and Inc. magazine said, and Entrepreneur magazine said. I've taken dozens and dozens and dozens of presentations from world-renowned speakers to local speakers. I'm in multiple organizations where I learn a lot of business tactics. And the way I look at it, if you notice each one, they usually give you, let's say they focus on marketing or what's your unique value proposition and all these key words. And I realize they're putting keys on this keychain. So as you as an entrepreneur going through life or your business life, you're going, oh, I got that key to that. I took that presentation, we use that key, turn that lock, and now I'm going to understand how to do whatever it is, that part of your business. What I realized is that's great. And you go to these things and you read a book or whatever, and you think, wow, I got all these cool keys. And then day to day hits you and you don't have a chance to use your keys, And so in Zombieland, one of the best opening parts of the movie, early on at least, is the guy is being chased by a zombie and he's trying to get into the car. And he's trying to fumble with the keys, figure out which one goes in the lock, and the zombie's getting closer. And then he runs around in a circle, and the zombie's chasing him, and he buys himself a little bit of time, and he's trying the next key, and the zombie's getting, and he runs around in a circle again. That's how I feel every single day, is I know what to do if I could just get the time to get the damn key in the lock. But I got the zombies chasing me. And so what I'm going to do today is not tell you how to run your company, what widget you should make and how you should make it better and how you should outpace your competition, because that's not where the zombies are in my world. I have people in my company that are awesome, and they have dedicated their lives to supporting people with disabilities. When it comes down to autism, we're experts. I'm not an expert. My team's experts. It comes down to Down syndrome or supporting people with challenging behaviors or pica. All of these things is what you probably think my job is. Oh, he's a human services guy. He must go to conferences about better serving people with autism. I'm keeping the zombies away. That's my job. And that's going to be your job if you become successful as an entrepreneur. Startups are kind of easy. You're kind of under the radar. You can focus on your widget or service or whatever. The bigger you get, you start getting employees, you start running a company. The stuff I'm going to tell you is what your job is really going to be. So think about this presentation more like a job description of the real world, not the sexy stuff you see in all the startup stuff, okay? So first of all, and I gave you guys a handout. Did you guys get, if you want to grab a couple handouts, if you guys want the handouts. First of all, I'm going to start off preparing you for Zombieland, and then we're going to get into the actual Zombieland battle. The first thing I would highly suggest you do as an entrepreneur is figure out your why. Why are you wanting to be an entrepreneur? Exactly why. This is not something you've got to tell somebody. This is between you and yourself and that mirror saying, instead of getting some $50,000 a year cushy job with no risk and you can clock out and go home and no stress, Why in the world would you want to risk everything? Your family, your time with your kids, maybe some of your own money, maybe your future earnings, because if you go into debt, you're going to pay that back. Chances of survival in business are low. You guys probably know that companies that last more than a few years are very rare. And the companies that last 10 years are very, very rare. And then to get to 1 million or 10 million size, I mean, at this point, you might as well be Tiger Woods of golf. And the statistics are completely not in your favor. Why are you doing it? Is it money? Is it because it's sexy? Because you want to be an entrepreneur? Or you really got to figure that out. Because if you go into entrepreneur just because somebody else told you to do it, you're going to end up hating your life because it's really hard. It's not easy. And you guys have probably learned that from others. So I put on here some of the common zombie bites. Basically, each of these things, every zombie bite is something that will shut you down as a company, either emotionally, intellectually, personally, health-wise, or financially, which is peppered throughout this because, of course, you run out of money. The zombie got you. So if you dread coming to work, how successful is your business going to be, right? So your why, you got to be passionate about it. You got to go in there and you just got to be, you were there because you're passionate. You have a team that's passionate and you know exactly why you're there and what you're doing. And that's why it feeds right into culture was the second one. In my company, we focused on culture huge for a long period of time. Then we got distracted and started focusing on operations and growth and acquisitions and all the other things that are distracting to entrepreneurs because we are easily distracted. And we lost track of culture, primarily in one division. It got to be the nastiest environment. I mean, you go in and it's just argumentative and the people are backstabbing and all that. It had gotten to where the balance of nastiness versus positivity had totally changed over to nasty, where you could put somebody positive in and they'd run them out. And this has actually happened 2 or 3 times in the organization. We had one time somebody came in and they had a new job in admin, which most people are like, oh, great. Instead of being out serving people with disabilities and doing, dealing with some really tough, challenging things, they go, cool, I get this cushy job in admin. I can come in 9 to 5. I'm in air conditioning. I'm not some van driving around, They get into admin and they realize this is the most negative backstabbing place in the company. I want to get back out into day support. Wow, what a wake up call, right? When you lose control of your culture, you're going to lose control of your company. So you've got to have, what culture do you want in your company? And you got to make sure you're militant about making sure it doesn't slip. Self-study. Doing what you're doing today, which I wish there was a room full of 50 people, but that's okay. Self-studying nonstop, putting stuff in your brain. You never know when you're going to have to use it. Learn stuff that's not related to your company. I guarantee you, if you go in there thinking there's got to be something that I'm going to have as a takeaway, you will learn. And so the minute you stop learning, you're probably not going to go far as a company, because you don't, it doesn't matter what widget you make. You have to understand everything else that revolves around selling that widget. And so I would recommend doing take as much learning as you can, become a sponge and get as much in your head as possible. Yes, we all need to zone out and do Netflix and have a couple beers and turn it off, but don't let that consume your life. And so that's what I put on here on Zombie Bites, is spending too much time watching TV, sports, or anything else unproductive. I realize sports are fun and that's great, but I hear people talk about the statistics of sporting people. They know what their batting average is. They know how many yards the person ran. But you ask them anything about their balance sheet and their cash flow statement, they have no freaking clue what's going on with their company. But boy, they can bet that new baseball guy that's out there. See what I'm getting at? So anything that distracts you from your running the best company possible is something that could take you down. Peer mentoring is one that you guys are doing in here, which is admirable. When my mom passed and I became the president of this company, which at the time had 185 employees, like, congratulations, here's your new job, 185 employees, multiple divisions, 24 vehicle fleet, it was crazy big. I did not have a peer group. I sat there and tried to figure this out on my own. And I talked to my dad and talked to my friends and talked to my wife. And those folks cannot understand what you're going through. I'm now divorced. Good for her, because being married to an entrepreneur is very difficult. Zombie number 2. That was a tough zombie, meaning expensive. Why is divorce expensive? Because it's worth it. Primarily for her, because I was a hard guy to live with. Peer mentoring takes that stress off your family, your kids, your spouse, your friends. Your friend that has a normal day-to-day job does not want to hear you complaining about how your balance sheet assets and gross revenues. They don't want to hear all that crap. They come in, they get their paycheck, they go home. They're good to go. which is kind of a good lifestyle. That's kind of good. There's no zombies in those worlds, usually, not like these. Your health is, I should have put this one first. The more and more I deal with more and more stress, the more I realize I must get out and do exercise every single day, or I start going downhill. Your brain does not solve problems. The bad chemicals in your brain that move you to a negative perspective, all of that starts accumulating. And so I try to build my day around exercise. I try to basically get up, pound out 3-4 hours of work, concentrated, smart type work, not answering emails and phones and stuff, then go for a run or a bike ride or a swim or whatever, and then go back into work. You immediately feel refreshed. It's amazing. But if you let your health go down, you're done. Your company's going to go down. It's big zombies. I'll give you an example. My stepsister, although she's not an entrepreneur in the state like we're talking about, she has been one of those people that are just extremely successful in any company that she works in. Extremely smart person, a little older than me. Everything's going perfectly in her life. Great family, travels, nice house, all the normal things. And then feels something. She goes to the doctor. Ovaries are like the size of grapefruits. Cancer, it's already spread. Bam! Health problem. What if she was running a company with 200 employees? All of a sudden, your founder owner is completely focused on their health, which is exactly what happened to my mom, and it's exactly why the company almost went out of business. Ovarian cancer. Everything's going fine. Oops. Ovarian's a bad one. It spreads. You don't have any symptoms. So I'm not saying you're going to solve cancer, but exercising, eat right, take care of yourself, don't abuse too many substances too frequently, you are less likely to get cancer. But cancer will take down your company. It's a zombie. So be careful. All right. That's preparing yourself for zombie land. Now let's get into zombie land itself. So you're prepared, you're healthy, you got your why, you got your culture, all of that. You're ready. You're going to go in. You actually are going to do this thing. You're going to take your own money. You're going to become unemployed and try to start some hustle making money. I'm going to fast forward a little bit and pretend that you're successful, meaning you've now got some employees, you've got a little building, you got some customers, and you're actually growing. Because the majority of the stuff I'm going to talk about today is related to that, not the when you're doing the work. It's after you kind of getting other people to do the work for you. But I'm going to start off with my first zombie in the entrepreneurial sense of the word. In college, actually starting way back, my dad put a camera in my hand and was like, showed me. Now this is 35 millimeter back in the 80s, right? I'm a tinker guy. I'm a physics guy. I love math and science, which you'd think, why in the hell is he in human services? But I'm back as a kid. My dad puts his camera in my hand, starts talking f-stop, shutter speeds, depth of field. Here's the flash. You got to balance the flash with the background lighting and the meters and all this stuff. And I'm like loving it. It's like Legos for adults. It was just phenomenal. The other thing about entrepreneurs, we tend to be ADHD, and undiagnosed, by the way. When an ADHD person gets interested in something, we deep dive on it and we get to know it more than a professional. It's amazing. And entrepreneurs can use that to your advantage, and you can use it to your disadvantage, or it can distract you from what your day job should be. So in my world of ADHD, I got to playing with cameras and I was like, this is awesome. I love it. I love the physics behind it, the lighting behind it. And by the way, you can make money doing it. So my first hustle was somebody said, hey, you're good with a camera. You should shoot my wedding because I'm broke and you're cheap. And I was like, cool, this is great. And so I shoot the wedding. Pictures came out pretty good for some 18-year-old kid, not really knowing what they're doing, other than book knowledge, no experience. Shot my first wedding. It was great. Immediately, she shows her friends, and her friends go, I'm broke. I need give me the number of that other guy that works really cheap. And so I shot my second wedding very shortly after the first. And again, pictures came out great. Family was ecstatic. And they ordered a ton of reprints. This family had a little more money than the broke family I did first. So I am so excited. I'm 18 years old, running pet stores at the time, doing this side hustle of photography and making a little bit of cash. And so the mom of the daughter says, Chip, just come on by my office, drop off the reprints. I'll write you a check and everything will be cool. We really appreciate your help. This has been great. So I stopped by her office, which was titled the Virginia Department of Taxation. Zombie. And I'm sitting at her desk and she's writing like an $850 check, which I was super excited about. And then she's like, you do have a business, right? I was like, no. She's like, that's illegal. You see how the zombies come? In any form. You have no idea. I'm walking in thinking I'm going to walk out rich. This is awesome. zombie, bam, all of a sudden I'm signing documents, and now I have Chip's World of Photography. 18 years old, have no clue how to run a business. I just knew how to shoot photos and take money. Government doesn't like that though. So that was my first entrepreneurial zombie. I'm going to start off my zombie land with consultants, because almost every one of the topics that I'm going to get into have some form of consultant person who's an expert in that area that can help you navigate that area, because there's absolutely no way any of us, including myself, have anything better than a 101, 102 level understanding of any of the topics I'm going to cover. The consultants are, and I put in the document, they're known for, you pay them a lot of money, they take your watch, and they tell you what time it is. It's like, duh, I could have done that myself. But the beauty of consultants, if you manage them well, is that they have the ability to go into lots of different companies, look at a lot of different entrepreneurs, how they solve problems, and then they come to you, they look at your problem, they say, I've seen 3 other people do it this way, you should try this. So there is value in consultants. The primary thing is you need to manage them. You need to know enough about the topic so that when they feed you a lot of crap, because there's a lot of consultants that will feed you a lot of crap. They're salespeople a lot of times. Everybody who becomes unemployed becomes a consultant, by the way. So there's good ones and bad ones, okay? So it's important that you know enough about the topic that you can pick the right consultant, work with them well, know when they're BSing you. But the key to it is, or one of the zombie bites is basically, you give them an open ticket for cash, no predetermined timeline, and no solution that they're trying to solve. And I've been bit by that zombie. Not bit, but I've been, let's say, lost a lot of money giving over to zombies for that. So consultants are great, but you need to know how to manage them. The second thing on here, and this is the soapbox that I have that's this tall, so I'm going to try to cover this very rapidly, which is government and regulation. Kind of like the Virginia Department of Taxation, the sheer number of zombies that are public servants is staggering. Every business is going to have it, from the local, for example, Hatch probably has a business license, right? And every year the city of Norfolk says, we need you to do an inventory of every stapler, every pencil, and all of that, because we're going to tax you on all of the stuff in this building that has value. And you have to value this based on what its cost is coming in, and then its estimated cost after it's been depreciated. Can you imagine the bureaucratic nightmare of walking through this building and counting all of the stuff? Even if it was donated, you have to claim it, and they're going to tax you on that. It would take me a full-time employee. I basically told them, no, I'm going to say, this is a workstation and it's worth $40. Mouse, keyboard, all that crap. Computer's worth $400, workstation's worth $40. Get over it. I'm not hiring somebody to do my inventory. Zombies. If you satisfied every single regulation, you would have a fleet of people to go shoot some weddings. It's crazy. But the idea is that the government's a huge zombie. You will be shut down so quick. The taxes, fines, penalties, all that. You really need to treat it seriously. You need to do your research and understand all levels. I'm talking local, state, federal. Most likely, whatever company you're in has regulations you have to abide by. It's your job to know them, and probably know them better than the person who knows them. I'll give you another example. I have quite a few contractor friends that are so frustrated when they want to do something. Let's say they want to build an addition on your house, maybe a back deck or glass in your porch or whatever. They have to go to the inspection office and say, here's my plans. And of course the inspector says, oh no, according to the code, you've got to build it this big and this wide or else. And so you can't get inspected. Half the time they're wrong. These are not people out there swinging hammers. These are people that look at a stupid code book and administer these regulations. They're zombies from the sake of, see,
I deal with that every day. It's
right.
So fun.
Isn't it great?
It's great.
And here's the difference, okay? Entrepreneur is, I have everything on the line. My wife's going to leave me if I screw up. I'm going to lose my house because the bank's going to come take it. I have employees that depend on me for paychecks. And here's the other guy. I've got this cool job, 9 to 5, 8 to 4. All I got to do is read this code book, tell other people what to do. At the end of the day, I clock out. And my money always comes because I'm unionized. I can't get fired. I got great benefits, and I don't have to deal with all those things that the entrepreneur has to deal with. But we have to walk in and just beg the government to let us do this or that, or please, can I just slide on this because this doesn't seem reasonable. I can't operate with those regulations. Constant battle. So again, I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I'll give you my zombie that almost nailed me from the government. Was my mom passed away in 2005. 3 weeks later, the Office of Licensing comes in and says, hey, Chip, sorry about your mom, but your triennial license is up for renewal. And I was like, what the hell is that? I'm the new guy, right? I was like doing stuff, and then mom passes. I'm like, congratulations, president. Now what? She had me doing human services. She didn't have me running a company. So I wasn't trained for that. I had no idea what I knew what licensing was, but I didn't know the process of getting relicensed. She said, you're actually already expired. I was like, come on, my mom just died. I mean, I'm still trying to find where the desk in the bathroom is here. Sorry, we have to do it. So we went through a complete review from licensing in my first 3 weeks of taking over a company whose president and my stepdad was the CFO at the time. He was caring for somebody dying of cancer. Both of them were extremely distracted. And now I'm left with this company going out of business, heavily in debt, everything screwed up because the owners couldn't be paying attention. And here's licensing, full cavity search. Have fun with that. We survived it. Again, it was please, 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 government, let me slide. I swear I'll fix it. It's wrong. I'll fix it. Just give me a chance. See what I'm getting at? It's like one day's fine. Next, zombie walks through the front door. Guess what? Your life's about to change. Banking. When the money runs out, that's the biggest zombie of all. You're done. So I can't, again, I'm going through these things very quickly. What I wanted you to make sure you know is that each of these topics, you need to do your own research, right? This is your job description. I'm not going to teach you every part of your job, okay? Banking is, of course, one of the most important ones. You use banking for everything. You guys know this, right? Sometimes you think, well, in a normal sense of the bank, it's, I want to buy a car. I don't have the money. I'm going to go get a loan. I'm going to pay it back over 5 years, and I get to drive around in a nice car I can't afford with money I don't have. Typical bank, right? For interest, right? 4% or 10% or whatever, depending on your credit. Buying a house, that's the other thing. Most people think of banking, and then a checking account. But in a business world, you have a lot more things. Lines of credit are what I pay attention to, which is basically my account is allowed to go above and below zero. So, because cash flow goes up and down, payroll hits, you're going to be broke for a while, and then some sales come in, it goes up, and then so you really need a line of credit because none of us want to be sitting on a ton of cash sitting in your account just in case you have a rainy day. So the line of credit's for that rainy day. But you're constantly having this discussion with your bank that you want to, especially if you're growing, you want to extend your line of credit. So you have to go in there and you have a really good relationship with your bank. You have to be very honest with them on how you're doing, not the, oh, I'm going to be great, I'm the next Zuckerberg, bull crap. No. What are you going to do in the next 6 months, and how are you going to repay this loan if things don't go right? That's all they care about, your ability to repay. They don't care about your success and all of that, okay? And they're probably skeptical. So the important thing with banking is find a banker that you trust, hopefully one that's stable, that'll be there for a long period of time. Hopefully you're big enough where you can get into commercial banking and not have to deal with some new desk jockey that's going to be bouncing around. I've had, in my experience, which I'm sharing with you my experience, I'm not not trained at this, I'm not a college professor, I'm saying in my experience, this is the stuff I would recommend, is go with I prefer local banks or regional banks versus the big ones, because the big ones, I did the big ones, both, I'm not going to name any names, 2 of the really big banks, and they constantly are flipping out people. I never could build a relationship with one person. I said, fine, I'm going to go with a regional bank. And ever since then, I've had the same banker the absolute whole time. Now, they do have sidekicks that come in from time to time and leave, but I got one guy, cell phone. I can call him anytime and say, I need your help. He knows the whole history of the company from the time I really got involved. Highly recommend that. And whatever you do, do not lie or misrepresent anything to your banker. Because the minute you don't have that trust, the zombies just get you. Okay, you must have a good banking relationship.
Jim?
Yes.
The problem with bankers, my experience, is when you need the money, they won't lend it to you. But then when you don't need it, they're more than happy to lend it to you.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I went through that with my business, and it was tough.
Yes.
I tried to get a line of credit, even though I'd been in business for years. They wouldn't do it. And so I came up with my own cash and took care of the situation. But
Yes.
then afterwards, they came back with a dog with his tail between his legs, wanted to loan me more. And I said, no, forget it. I'm not interested.
Yes.
You let me down and I had a good relationship with my banker. You let me down when I needed you.
Yes.
Why should I come back to you now?
Yes. It's exactly why I left the big banks, because they did let me down. And that's exactly why I stayed with the regional banks, because they took care of me in my time of need, and they really deep dived on my company, and they believed in my vision. I would say I try to only have the line of credit for when I need it, and which right now is I'm not needing it, which is really cool. So I have a deep ability to go down if things go wrong and have a rainy day. Where the bank is really good is when you're growing. You guys have had the presentation from Sean, the fellow at CIT, I think it is, right? You've probably had other kind of venture capital, angel investors, and those type of things. How much interest do those guys want? And ladies, you know, how much interest? If they're going to lend you 100 grand, what interest rate do they expect in return? Anybody?
Well, they want 20%.
20%, right? Why? Because you're risky, right? You're an entrepreneur startup. They'd be crazy to put money on you because 1 out of 100 are going to make it. The rest of you are going to fail. Banks will give it to you for 5. Why in the world would you go angel investing when you have a good bank? So banks like to see growth. They want to see them giving you money because whatever you're doing is working and you need more capital to do more of what you're doing. I need to buy that next piece of equipment because if I get that next piece, I'll be able to do more sales and I'll be able to pay off the equipment. So that's where and again, I'm not in a equipment intensive world. I'm in a staffing intensive world. But if I take on a new customer, I got to staff them now. And my income's not going to happen for quite a bit of time. So I'm capital intensive on the starting business. Banking would also be good anytime you have a company that has to produce widgets and have inventory prior to selling inventory, because the cash comes in after you've produced the widget. You need a bank. The beauty would be pay me now and I'll go create your widget and give it to you, right? That's perfect. You could grow exponentially. But you can't grow if you have to produce the widget or the service ahead of time and wait on a 90-day billing cycle to get your money back. So that's where banks come in. But you're exactly right. They definitely don't want to give you any money when you truly need it because whatever you're working is not working well. I think when things are working and you're going up, I haven't had too much trouble getting it, but my personal experience. Banks also like assets, by the way. So if you have something somewhere, a nest egg, a house, some equity, oh yeah, they'll lend you all day long because they'll come get it. So it's nice to have that. Accounting, of course, accounting, and I did accounting and finance here. I'm going to do this pretty quickly. Accounting, of course, could be a senior level course on just business accounting. My quote here, I did this the last time I was here at Hatch. The books of every business are in the oven, but the real question is, how cooked are they? It is hard to have your books perfect. I mean, it just is difficult. And so GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles, it's good to understand them and use them. But when it comes down to it, it is extremely difficult to have your accounting such that you can run in and quickly run a report and produce a report and believe the numbers. I mean, make business decisions based on the numbers. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try. But when I took over SSVA, my stepdad was an engineer and he had done the books efficiently because engineers are all about efficiency, right? GAAP is hard and not efficient. GAAP is, got to break things down and categorize them correctly and all of that. He went from efficiency standpoint, which was we need to know how much came in, how much went out, so we know how to pay our taxes and turn in our IRS stuff and make it legal. No problem. The reporting capability was nil. I mean, some stuff was cash and was accruals all over the place. It got the job done, but I couldn't, as a CEO, make decisions in the organization because his famous words were, don't eat the numbers. Basically, any report he gave me, basically, there's more to it. You don't listen to this. I'm like, what good is accounting if I can't eat the numbers? Like, I need to make decisions. So the other quote in here in accounting is revenue is vanity, profit sanity, cash is king by Alan Mills. I just spent a week with this guy. I went down and he's from Australia. He doesn't drive on the right side of the road, meaning our side. And I drove him from Birmingham, Knoxville, Durham, and then Norfolk. So I listened to him do the same speech 4 times, and I finally started to get it. Now, I also had listened to a speech once other in San Diego and then twice on YouTube. So I think by the time it was all said and done, I saw him 6 or 7 times, and I finally started to get it. Profit or revenue is vanity, right? Oh, I'm 10 million. Good for you. Great. If you spend 11, you're screwed, Profit sanity, but profit, what he'll say is an opinion. Profit's an opinion. You can swing your numbers in accounting left and right, up and down. IRS is going to tax you on the profit, so you're going to play it down. You want to go sell your company? Oh, that was because of that. No, I'm really profitable. Total opinion. Do you depreciate your stuff or do you expense it right now? Right? Everybody's getting ready to sell their companies, depreciate it all the way out because you want to show high profit. You got high profit, you want to pay taxes, you're in it for the long haul, you want to expense everything. Get that profit out, right? Everything's on sale for 39%. Total opinion. Profit is sanity. Cash is king. Profit and balance sheet together is what makes the cash flow work. Because you can swing all kinds of stuff, balance sheet to P&L back and forth. If you don't know how to do that and how other companies do it, in case you're trying to do an acquisition, you're just totally missing the boat on business. I'm not saying become an accountant because, CF no, you'll end up with that. So you need the CEO likes the bright shiny. The CF no says we can afford it. It's not smart. Balance sheet, cash flow statement, or all that are not in line. But you as an entrepreneur need to know it. So the zombie bites, the one that got me was not having the book set up so that it's reportable. I could not eat the numbers. I could not make decisions off those numbers. Cash versus accrual, all messed up. It just, our payroll was being experienced or accounted for in the QuickBooks on payday, but the work was being done 12 days earlier. Accrual says experience your expense when the expense occurred, not when the check goes out, right? Stuff like that. If you don't understand that, you cannot eat the numbers in your accounting. Finance. Somebody use finance, or basically it's more balance sheet oriented. It's how much debt do you have? How much equipment do you have? Do you know the return on investment? Like if you bought this $100,000 machine that creates these widgets, how long is it going to take you to get the money back to pay off that machine? Or can the widgets produce enough to pay off the loan that you got from the bank plus interest on that machine? How are you going to depreciate the machine? All of that's kind of finance, has nothing to do with like profitability. It has to do with allocating capital. And so if you listen to Warren Buffett, he says, I'm just a good allocator of capital. What the hell's capital? This is the stuff you need to know. Again, I'm not going to cover it because it's way too deep and it's way over my head on half the time. But basically, don't accumulate too much debt. Don't accumulate too much stuff that's not producing a return, and or miscalculate the return on your investment. Don't buy the $100,000 machine. It's going to take you 100 years to repay. It's stupid. It needs to produce measurable results now. Let's get to the economy. The box I could get on, but I'm not. Obviously, if you were in real estate in 2007, oops, and everybody, I'm in a club called Entrepreneurs Organization, or EO, and that's one thing you will find all entrepreneurs, not all, a huge percentage of entrepreneurs dabble in real estate. Real estate's like gold. Ben Bernanke or Janet Yellen can print all the money they want. It just makes real estate go up. Makes gold go up, right? Dollar goes down. Stuff that truly has value goes up. Owner-occupied real estate, and I get real estate's down here later, but owner-occupied real estate's another way to gain wealth. But if you weren't watching the economy and realized in 2007 that this stuff can't go on, we can't have housing prices going up 20% every single month in Virginia Beach or Norfolk. You got to pay attention. If you're all focused on just your widget in your little town and you're not paying attention to both the global and the national economy, I think you're going to miss on both opportunities, or the zombies come and take everything because you forgot and you didn't realize that there's a housing crisis getting ready to come, or a student debt crisis. That might be the next one, or Russia implodes and oil goes berserk, whatever. These things you got to pay attention to because it might have an effect on your company. Legal. Probably should have done this after accounting, but legal, of course, all businesses need an attorney, right? You hopefully had one set up your company. And of course, my dad, which is worked for the government or a private sector contractor for the government all his life, and is the most frugal person I know. He said, Chip, why in the world are you paying an attorney like $600 to put together an LLC for this next house? You could just go and it's like $99. You can go online and get it yourself. And I'm like, are they going to represent me in court when I do something stupid? And he's like, good point. Okay. So I have a awesome corporate attorney. And actually my mom's corporate attorney. So he's known this company since the beginning. He has set up every single entity I have, and there's a lot of them. Every question I have, he answers. I trust him. He trusts me. This guy keeps me out of trouble. He's like, Chip, that's brilliant, but it's illegal. It's like, yeah. So, especially when it comes down to company structure, he's also the guy going, this would be the most efficient way, but if this goes wrong, it takes this, this, and this, and this, and this. So you might want to put a firewall in place called an LLC or corporation. And so if you have this corporation, that corporation, this one could go out and you still survive because there's zombies out there and they're all litigious and everybody's going to try to sue you. Luckily, I haven't had too many of those situations. I have had a couple, but never bad ones. But a lot of the companies I deal with companies like that I know in EO have constant problems with lawsuits. Many of them you'll see in the newspapers. If this guy's getting sued by this guy, whatever. So you've absolutely got to have a good attorney, and please listen to them because they know what they're doing, especially if they're a corporate attorney and they deal with companies all the time. You're going to learn from their experience and try not to make bad decisions. Human resources. Whew. This is one love-hate relationship. The employees that work for me are amazing. I mean, these guys have dedicated their career to serving people with disabilities, for half the pay they could make on any other field. You could go sell cell phones at Verizon and probably make more money than somebody who is taking care of somebody with a disability, passing their medications, taking them to the doctor, all that. It's horrible in America and the world in general. If you work with people, you're low paid. You work with things with on-off switches, you get high paid, right? Good news is you can offshore jobs when you work with people. That's one good part about it. The dark side of human services. Employees are expensive, and they are becoming more and more expensive every single day. All insurance-related employees is going up. Healthcare, dental, workers' comp. Soon they'll probably be raising the minimum wage. And again, you could be Milton Friedman, free market, or go all socialist. Doesn't matter. Either way, wages are going to go up, free market or socialist. Workers' comp insurance. Oh my gosh, healthcare reform. I'm directly in the target of healthcare reform, meaning target person that's going to pay the bill.
Someone's got to pay for it.
Someone's got to pay for it. Well, I write those checks daily. Seems like any employer with 50 full-time employees has to completely comply with healthcare reform, including the employer mandate. I mean, seriously, it's just take an employee, let's say $10 an hour, they really costing you 15, if not more. After you give them leave, holiday, workers' comp, taxes, unemployment, or employment taxes, all of it, it's crazy big. So an employee says, I want to raise, or I should be paid 10. A good entrepreneur knows, well, if I pay 10, you're really 15. And so I need to sell enough widgets to cover both 15 and some. It's not the $10 that counts, it's the 15, you know? So HR is one of those, again, it's a love-hate. I can't stand like the field of HR because it's all about compliance, regulation, and extra cost. I love the employees. So it's kind of one of, it's this really, I feel bifurcated or whatever, you know, like two different things about it. But if you become employee intensive, you get more than 2 full-time employees. You start having to do all of the compliance stuff with W-2s and all of that. Pay attention to human resources, join things like SHRM or Society of Human Resource Management. The laws in HR have zombies all over the place. You will get bit if you don't follow them. The zombie that got me this year on HR are the 1095 forms. You guys heard of that? Right? Part of the ACA is you got to tell the government who has health insurance, who doesn't, who got over 30 hours for your standard look back period, which could be anywhere from 3 months to 1 year. But if they got hired, it's from their date of hire. And if it's not, and they've been with you a long time, then just their standard look back period. So I got to track these two things on an Excel pivot table. And if the guy passes the 1 year, I got to say, do you want insurance or not? And if not, you got to sign this form, because if I don't have the form, they're going to go to the exchange. I'm going to get a penalty of $3,000. And that form is the only thing protecting me. Why am I not working in human services?
Why aren't you selling the health insurance to employers with more than 50 employees?
Yes, that's where the money is. Cushy job. Yes. My insurance broker lives a very good lifestyle, and I let him buy all the drinks and food whenever we go out because he has it made. I love him. Actually, I owe him my company because I wouldn't make it if it wasn't for him. His name's Brian Oak, just so you know, and he's my insurance guy for healthcare. And he taught me all the stuff I'm telling you today. 1095 forms. This is the zombies chase me right now. I've got to have these things done by the end of the month, or just hold your nose, bend over, write the check. That's the story of my life. That's a big one, and it's so complicated. And if you're over a certain number of employees, you're not allowed to turn it in manually. You must do it digitally. Okay, and there's plenty of other providers out there that you could do it digitally, but you'd have to take all the data out of your current database and put it into their database. Or you can just go through your HR provider, your payroll provider, and they'll do it for you for a fee, right? So it's like, did the government just force me into buying something? Yeah, zombie. Just like, really? You know, it's like $13,000. Poof, went out of your pocket because of some compliance issue. You know, and I have no choice. I have to go through this. Any other choice is more zombies than the one I'm facing. Insurance. I don't want to cover a whole lot of this. All I'm basically looking at is there is a ton of different types of insurance. You can overinsure, you can underinsure. There's loopholes. The best thing I can tell you on insurance is get a good broker that knows your business and is honest, because they can scare you into buying anything, and they can be honest and say you really don't need this. The chances of you get hit are low, or your coverage only has to be like 500 because this is one that's not big, or it's like this is your biggest exposure, cyber liability. You're a tech company. You're an idiot if you don't have it. So I'm saying, so you need a broker that is honest with you. So let's get into the role of brokers. I had no idea what a broker was when I became president of SSVA. No clue. And I'll give you my zombie story when it comes down to brokers. Before I got Brian Noble, my current healthcare broker, which is awesome, I had a fella who was a surfer dude. Cool guy. I mean, I loved him to death, hung out with him, just not hung out, but I enjoyed when he came by and talked. Every year for like 3 or 4 years, I think, he brought in the Anthem rep and he sat over there in the corner and the Anthem rep said, blah, 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 this is how much we're going to increase our cost for you. I was going to say something worse. Here's how much your healthcare costs are increasing. Holdren has been over, write the check, you know. Then Brian walked into my office and said, Chip, your broker's supposed to be negotiating this. Like there's Optima, there's other options. You don't have to go to Anthem every year. I'm like, really? My broker didn't tell me that. So we kidded around and said, the goal here is, and we vetted both of them, suit or dude, like surfer dude versus Brian Noble, which wore a suit. He still wears a suit. Suit or dude. And I was like, I can't stand people wear suits. This is terrible. I don't want to buy anything from them. I don't want to hang out with them. If they wear a suit, they're probably selling me something I don't want, right? That's just me. I mean, you can see I flip-flops are in the car. I put on shoes for you guys because I'm dressing up. Suit, I like dude. Dude wore shorts. Dude was like me. I trusted dude. So guess what? Suit told me, dude's supposed to be saving you money. If I vet this, I'm going to save you some cash. And before you know it, I knew what a broker was. And I knew that this guy's got my back and dude did not. Okay. So I had 4 years of paying way too much money because the zombie of broker had tried to get me. Marketing. Again, that could be a year-long seminar on marketing. Basically, the way I look at it, you have inbound and outbound. Right? Outbound is all the brochures and ads and TV and all the other normal ways of marketing your stuff. Inbound is the more new stuff where you're like becoming the expert. You have your blog and basically somebody Googles something and you pop up because you're producing content that's good. Like 1004, right? Zach is producing content. He wants that to be in a place where Google it and he's live streaming and all this. Zach's becoming the resident expert in Norfolk for the startup community. That's inbound marketing, okay? What I've learned in marketing where the zombies can occur is if somebody comes to you and they're with a TV station, guess what? You've got to have TV. They're not going to tell you TV's not going to work for you. You should try print or you should try blogging, right? They're selling TV, you know. So the problem with marketing is you've got to do your own research so you know generally the concepts of marketing and what's going to work for you. Because if somebody's selling you something, they're going to sell you the stuff they sell. They're not going to tell you that there's some other thing you really should be looking at that they don't sell. It's not going to happen. So I've gotten burned on that a number of different times. The other two things on marketing, I would say, if you are not marketing yourself, then the perception of those who are seeing you becomes your marketing. And so just recently, I had it my division in Lynchburg is we kind of stopped focusing on it. And that negativity I was telling you about became our perception. I wasn't actively marketing. So whatever my team was doing became my marketing. And when you got there and hear what people say about SSV, I'm like, that's not my company. Like, no. So the importance of that is you want to control your marketing, both to the outside and control it to your employees. Your employees are your biggest evangelists. I think it was the Tony Shea from Zappos was like, every time you call, that employee who loves working at Zappos, by the way, has average 7 minutes to win you over. You call them and they're going to market to you over the phone because they're nice and helpful and they're friendly and they smile when they talk, all of that. You've got to also focus your marketing on the inside so that your employees are your biggest evangelists, because then they'll be able to sell your service, produce your widget. Technology. God, you guys are tech people, half of you in here, right? Okay, Moore's Law I put on here. And remember, I'm in human services. I'm supposed to be not a tech person. I probably focus 30% of my time trying to figure out how is technology going to disrupt my field. Cost of labor is going through the roof. Technology is the solution, but how? How can basically it's two things. One is either how can I use technology to make my shop more efficient, have less cost, and outpace my competitors? Or how is my competitors going to use technology to outpace me? Right? So it goes both ways. For example, if you said, I'm going to outsource everything to India. Let's say you're a call center. I'm going to outsource everything to India. That doesn't feel good as American because you're taking American jobs, and that's mean, and all your friends will hate you because you're here and all your workforce is out there and you're not hiring people. So you have a character thing here. You don't want to do that. You want to hire Americans because made in America, right? We're patriotic, saving jobs, get people off welfare, whatever your thing is. But if your competitor can go to India, you're out of business. You can sit around and love your patriotism all day long. So you have to understand both. What are you willing to do and what is your competition can do? And if they did it, can you stay in business? The Apicab, I can't remember her name, but she comes in there. She had a tough time with Uber and Lyft or whatever. And she had a strategy to do that. But it's one of them, she's a fighter. And she came up with some very creative ways. But a lot of cab companies didn't do that. A lot of cab companies like, crap, I'm out. Might as well go get my Uber and start driving myself, right? I mean, Walmart comes in, local hardware store goes out. Technology is something that I have found you cannot outsource. You can't outsource the management of it. I have a tech company and I love them. The owner of it got me into EO. I owe him everything. So I love being a part of EO. Learn more than anything. But you have to understand technology as a whole and how it affects your industry so that your tech company is really like, they're going to turn the wrenches on it. When it comes down to the strategy, that's up to you as an entrepreneur to how to take technology and apply it to your field and make you more successful. It's also up to you to figure out how technology is going to disrupt you or disrupt your field. The tech company that you're paying to manage your server and pull wire and make sure your computers don't have malware is not going to come in and say, hey, Chip, here's your strategy. Because I've been focused on the human services world and how tech is going to disrupt it with smart homes so that you don't have to staff your houses on the overnight, saving you money and labor. Tech companies don't do that. Tech companies make sure your server's on. It's up to you to manage technology in your field related to your success. Okay, so technology is riddled with zombies. And also, of course, there's hardware and software, meaning software SaaS. Should you get a server with SharePoint or should you put it on the cloud? Should you use Google to automate your email or should you sit around with Outlook and folders and spend all your days doing that? I met one of the EO members, Matt Weiss. He owns a company in Manhattan and he moved to Florida and he still runs his company. Virtually completely automated from Google. You send it, he's a traffic attorney. You send in something with the word like appeal. He's got these keywords and it automatically generates an email basically saying, oh yes, in New York, when you have this type of ticket, it's usually about 30-day window and you can appeal it this way. And all the information they would have wasted time on the phone telling the person, he's got automated. Dude's brilliant. Sitting in freaking Florida in the sun while his company's operating profitably up in Manhattan. This guy's brilliant. Traffic attorney. You would think technology would disrupt traffic attorney. I mean, meaning your life is now better versus sitting there actually going to court. So just giving you an idea why you need to focus on technology no matter what field you're in, even human services. One other zombie that I had in technology, my gosh, and I thought I was cutting edge, right? I'm hanging out with Zach and Hatch and Start and all you guys. I'm like, wow, I know this stuff, like really cool stuff. I can't describe what a this or that is, but I hang out with these dudes and this is awesome. And so in my brilliance of tech, I decided I'm going to go to the Encore Tech Conference in Denver. So I'm going to get the latest and greatest. I'm going to be ahead of the field. This is going to be awesome. So I get on an airplane, fly to Denver for this conference, and whole states have already converted. I'm the last guy to the party. I went in thinking I'm cutting edge, man. I got to start. I'm like, I'm on it. I'm going to go all the way to Denver. Nobody else in Virginia's going to go to Denver, which I was right on that one at least. And I walked in there thinking I'm a tech guy. All I got to do is just get a couple ideas. I'm going to bring this stuff back and I'm going to be rocking. Meanwhile, the vendors are all wrapped around already selling the stuff I thought was going to be 5 years out. States have already converted. They're like just telling us how they already do it. It's old news. I was like, wow. Now, good news is Virginia is like dinosaur age. So like, I'm still ahead of my pack, but I felt like the zombies just got me. I should have been on to smart homes 2 or 3 years ago. Any type of sensor technology to downstaff a building or a site or whatever safely and create real-time feedback. So if I have vehicles, have little tracking things like FedEx, so they know exactly where the vehicles are. They know the routes. They can do routes that are efficient, all of that. All of the smart technology applied to human services can save me money and let me outpace my competitors. So that was my zombie that I had last year when I went to this Denver conference. 11 minutes. Real estate. Like I said earlier, the majority of entrepreneurs I talk with dabble in real estate. And I'm not just talking about buying your own house. Maybe they have some rental properties. Maybe they bought their own building that they operate out of. For whatever reason, it's just something, I don't know what it is. It just seems like entrepreneurs have an interest in real estate. In my world, I got into real estate because people with disabilities need a house. And in that house, they usually like no step entries, because we use wheelchairs a lot of times. And they like handrails that require punching holes in tile. Landlords don't like holes in their tile. They don't like handicap rails because they can't rent it to the next ambulatory person who doesn't want it to look like it's handicap accessible, right? Kind of like ADA is kind of one of them character things like, yay, ADA, unless it's my house. Like, put that stuff somewhere else. No business wants to have a big ramp out front. I mean, it's one of them. Everybody believes in it until you have to invest $10,000 into the ADA compliance. I'm like, God. Okay, so I ended up buying up some of the houses, and I realized my banking relationship got a lot better because now I have equity, and they can come take all the houses if I don't pay them back. Remember, the only thing the bank cares about is your ability to repay the loan. Only thing they care about. They take out a bunch of stuff. So you'd hope they care about you as a person, but really what the bank cares about, repaying the loan. So the cool thing is you're going to rent a building no matter what. Again, assuming you've grown to a size where you're not in your kitchen table anymore, you're going to rent a building. If you can afford somehow or borrow the money from a bank to have a building, and then now you own or occupy that building, your rent's going to your own pocket minus the interest. And eventually over time, you have this asset, just like your house, and you can borrow against that asset. See how that works? So to think that your company with no assets is going to be able to grow, either company having assets or you personally having assets in a different company sheltered by a firewall that your attorney will help you set up, you won't be able to grow. You can't get a $400,000 line of credit for your $140,000 payroll if you don't have assets. Okay, so that real estate, I think, is a store of wealth outside of stock market and other stuff. It's kind of, stock market's not, I'm not gonna get a stock market. Basically, it's illiquid a lot of the time. Bank can't just come grab it. Real estate's a little bit easier. Demographics. I did my last presentation when I talked about benevolent acquisitions. Baby boomers are retiring at like 10,000 a day, right? Means they're not consuming as much, and there's all kinds of stuff. You really should look into it. I don't know what widget you're selling or what service you're selling, but if you're not paying attention to demographics, such as what are the baby boomers buying, which is primarily healthcare and maybe some vacations that are accessible, or the echo boom, millennials and all that, there's kind of like the bubble of baby boomers, and they all had kids. Now the baby boomer bubble was a little bit more peaked out, shorter period of time, but huge. The echo boom is bigger, but it's more of a longer term because the baby boomers pumped out kids at different rates. So the echo boom is an economic force that we all should think about because these people actually have money. I think the highest age of spending is like 46. And so I think if you pay attention to that, then you'll know what are these 46-year-olds buying and how does that fit into your good or service that you're selling. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it, but the idea is that if you're not paying attention to demographics, you're probably missing the boat. Not too many zombies out there. I think it more would be you're missing opportunity. If you're in nursing home care right now, you're gonna be killing it. Or home health, right? Killing it. After the baby boomers, fast forward 20 years, baby boomers age out, get out, sell in nursing homes, get out of home health. It's gonna be at that point, it's already commoditized and it's a race to the bottom on what's the lowest amount you can pay because your population is drying up. See in the future. Your job as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, whatever, is to see the future. You cannot get bogged down in production of whatever good or service you're doing. The book called E-Myth, I can't remember the author's name, awesome book. In the book, he basically says, if what you are doing is focused on your widget, you're making the cupcakes, you're not paying attention. Where's the cupcake field going? Where do I need to be in 10 years, 5 years? You end up going out. So I think it's the entrepreneur's really role is to see the future, be a visionary and say, where do I need to be 5 years from now? So I'm already looking at smart homes. I'm looking at offshoring of some things. I'm looking at how is technology going to disrupt my field. I'm looking at waiver reform, Medicaid waiver reform. I'm looking at the Medicaid federal settings rule that's 2019. That's my job. If I'm just focused on serving that guy with autism at my day support today, I will be out of business in less than a year. Okay, so that's what I meant by seeing the future. That is your job as the entrepreneur because nobody else is going to do it for you. Exit planning. This is one I'm again, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. If I had a wife and kids, I don't think I could do what I would do. I think I'd exit. I think it's too risky. I think the zombies are increasing in frequency and size and speed. We went from like old zombie land over to like World War Z. Like these guys are running now. This is crazy zombies. They work together. The only way I'm able to survive this, and I'm one of these people, I kind of want to do this for the long haul. I like being an entrepreneur. I love my team. It makes me sick to my stomach to think of selling. One is I don't have to, right? I mean, if I had some lump that I need to deal with, I'm like, sell, I need to go focus on my health. But right now I'm healthy, I'm having fun, I have a great team, great opportunity, money's going up, balance sheets, where it needs to be. All the, not getting bit yet. So I'm like running around from the zombies. I can get bit at any time. I could be out of business tomorrow. I mean, seriously, I got like 6 zombies chasing me right now. But so far, in the last 11 years I've been running the company, I've outrun them. I think the key to it is just like the banks. You can't exit when you want, because you can't wait till life sucks. You're on a burning platform, you're running out of cash, and then exit. You probably owe more in your company than it's worth. So you can exit, and they give you $1 million, and you go to the bank, and they go, you still owe $1.5 million. So it cost you $500 to sell your company. Selling your company takes 3 or 4 years of planning, because the first thing an acquirer is going to do is say, I want to see the last 3 years of tax returns. I want to see your last financial statements. And they're going to look at it. They're going to say, are you full of crap? Saying, oh, my company's worth $2 million. I'm great. I'm the next Zuckerberg. No, they're going to look at your tax returns. They're going to look at the balance sheet. They're going to look at your depreciation and find out if you've been gaming the books or not. Look at how much you've been taking out as an owner. They'll figure it out. And so you got to really, if you want to exit, and that's your goal, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to build this hustle, and then I'm going to get out. I'm going to do something else. And a lot of people do that. That's a great business strategy. You can't wait till the last minute and go, oh, this sucks. You really need a plan. You need to really be thinking, build those financial statements, build those tax returns, because what they're going to do is most likely, again, you can negotiate your sale however you want, or purchase. It goes both ways. Normally, it's a multiple of EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization. And so maybe you get a multiple 4 or 5, depending on the business. If it's a profitable business, maybe it's 10. But you'll get a multiple of EBITDA. Remember, EBITDA is an opinion, but still, they usually do the multiple of EBITDA. You want to be building your EBITDA. You want to be building your company focused on what's that EBITDA, what are your financial statements looking like? And that's where I have the conflict, is that I don't like the idea of running a company with intent to sell. It just feels dirty to me. I'm not judging anyone else. I'm saying in my world, I took over the family business. My job is to take care of my mom's vision. And somebody would have to come in with a really big check to say, walk.
Well, no, you'll wake up one morning and it stops being fun.
When it stops being fun. Yes. That's the other thing. That's what I was saying, is I'm on the fence, because it's like the zombies are getting faster. Healthcare reform has been a huge zombie. I feel like every minute of the day, some new regulation regarding the employees' healthcare, it's distracting me from my job. I'm having to spend 20 hours a week on just HR related stuff. And I don't want to be an HR guy. I want to be a human services guy. But the regulation's intense. I like the technology aspect of it, but I like to spend more time on that. But you're right. When it stops becoming fun.
Almost the curse of being successful, Chip.
Yes, absolutely.
Because then you start getting away from the very thing that you love. You spend all your time doing all these other things.
Yes.
And I know a little bit about that.
Yes. So
what did you say EBITDA stands for?
Earnings before interest, taxes, appreciation, and amortization. Depreciation and amortization. Basically, depreciation, amortization, taxes, those are all things that are unique to different companies, because you might be depreciating or not. So they take away all that stuff and just get to your earnings. So an acquiring company may not need the debt. They don't need to depreciate. So they just say, what did you earn? All these other things are your opinion, taxes and all of that, because taxes are different states. So it's a way to take a company and compare it to another company. Okay. So that's why EBITDA, there's other ones, there's EBIT, and there's some other ways to value a company. The best way is actually something that's more complicated. I know how to get into, but my buddy Alan Mills told me about it. It's called DuPont, like a DuPont score, which is basically take your P&L and your balance sheet and kind of blend them together to get a real comprehensive look at a company and what its value. Because you can be zero profit and making the balance sheet more efficient. using less capital to produce the same amount of revenue. There's all kinds of little games you can play on valuation. So, but right now, in my understanding of mergers and acquisition activity, it's all EBITDA or EBIT. The common zombie bites, Warren Buffett. I love quotes from people like Warren Buffett are just amazing. But the ABCs accompany decay, arrogance, bureaucracy, complacency. I think that when you go to sell and you're like, I can do everything, and you've let your admin balloon because everybody wants an assistant, which are expensive. And then you get complacent, like, oh, I know this. I've been doing it 10 years. I got this. You end up getting washed out. Your company's not valued at anything. So if you have an exit plan, you got to stay cutting edge, top notch. Don't let those ABCs of company decay occur to you. And I'm also going to end this or go to questions with the same thing I started with, was why. What is your why? You should know the why when you're getting into business, and you should know why you're getting out, or why is it a good time to get out, or when do you want to get out? So it's got to start with your why on both sides. So my thing says 0. I'm ready for questions. So are there any questions on these topics? Of course, I could probably do a 1-hour presentation on each of these, but I'd love to, any feedback?
I guess the one thing that because this thing is so comprehensive, the one thing I thought was kind of interesting was you didn't ever mention like estate planning at all.
Right.
Is that something that you've already done with your corporate attorney and things like that?
I'm in a unique situation where I have absolutely no carbon-based life forms that rely on me other than my employees. I don't have a plant. I don't have an aunt. I don't have a kid. My dad doesn't need any cash. No wife. So I don't know. You want it? So in exit planning and valuation is I mostly was saying you as a business owner are saying, when do you exit and how do you maximize the return on your investment in this business? Because the zombies are out there. The longer you're in the business, the more chances are you're going to go out. That's the other thing I didn't touch on. Businesses go through, like, it's easy to get to this level, and then that's when a lot of them go out, and then you go a while and get to this level and they go out. So I'm right at that. I just crossed 10 million last year. It scared the crap out of me. Added a 0 to the gross rev. And it's hard, and it's getting harder. Like, you think, oh, if I was just at his size. No, it gets harder. I got to be better and faster and quicker, and the zombies are better, faster, quicker. So mostly what I wanted to get into is get that wad of cash or whatever it is that you want to exit, and then go talk to your planner to say what's right for you and your family. Obviously, you don't want to let the government get it into probate. They'll be putting in schools in some country you don't care about. So it's better that you plan your estate. Whatever you do, don't give it to your kids in lump sum. You will destroy them. So, but again, that's a discussion with you and your personal financial planner. With no kids, I should not be one to talk about that. So you probably have more knowledge in that. So sorry.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I like was your comment on seeing the future. Mm-hmm. I think if you have to have that vision to look and see where's my business going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, where's the trend going?
Yes. And
so many things have changed in computers and technology. This morning, David and I got a chance to mess around with virtual reality, guys, and it was so cool because there was a dinosaur, and the dinosaur was asleep, and all of a sudden the dinosaur woke up and he came over, and his head came right down like this in front of me.
And you duck, right?
I'm going like, and my hands are going like all over the place because the dinosaur's face is like right, and he turns his head to the side, he looks at me like this. Then he goes off and he comes back. I mean, that's virtual reality is you're going to be able to sit in your car and it's going to be auto driven, and you're going to say, take me to Miami, and you're going to sit back and you'll put on a virtual reality and you'll be on the beach.
Yes.
And you'll be driving to Miami, the car will be going at 100 miles an hour by itself, and you'll be back there enjoying, your banana daiquiri.
Yes.
I mean, it's wild. It's
or you could even be working. You could be reading the latest report on the beach, right? Because most of us work if we have time. I mean, I'm workaholic. But you're right. You could do both. You could say, I'm going to relax, or I can work in the environment in which I want to work, which I'd rather be in the woods, not in some city with noise, So I love
another bicycle.
Yeah, breaking another bicycle, yes. The other logical disruption that saved me a ton of cash in recent times is EO uses a software called Zoom, which is like Skype, for meetings. I've done now 2 board meetings driving down the road using Zoom. And I have my phone set up like an Uber driver and a little headset. I'm sitting there participating in the board meeting, like I'm sitting there in the thing. I adopted Zoom company-wide, so now my Lynchburg, Danville, and Virginia Beach divisions are now doing all of our meetings on Zoom. It's like everybody from the company is now on the same page. I see their faces. We can do screen sharing. I can take control of their computer. They control mine. Very, very affordable. Companies that are putting somebody in a car and driving 8 hours, 4 hours out, 4 hours back windshield time are burning through cash when they could have just gone boop, cell phone, tablet. It's agnostic on the browser, and we're having meetings, and it's good interaction. It's amazing. So I'm adopting that, and I'm laughing at companies. They're using Windows XP, and like they don't even know oh, stupid smartphones. I like my flip phone. And I'm like, are you ready to sell yet? So, but yeah, that's a good thing. Any other questions? Sir.
How have you been able to shift about
making very, very tough decisions. First of all, of course, all the normal stuff. You got to come up with your vision and your mission and your core values. And that shouldn't be just your opinion kind of. Let me back up. Myself and my minority owner came up with basically the overall vision. And we decided, it's actually my personal mission statement, which was realize success by helping others realize theirs. So when I'm not going to be successful, I'm going to help you be successful. In the meantime, I take a cut and I get successful, right? It's kind of a helpful human services type thing. When it came down to the core values, we opened that up to the rest of the company and said, what do you guys think? When you think of the best employees that really encompass the vision of this company and the mission that my mom had developed, we kind of identified those core values. And they're kind of your normal stuff, but it's not just character and teamwork. It's not that. We try to do it as specific core values. So once we defined those, then we started holding people accountable to those core values. And we literally would fire somebody, not because of performance, because you do not match our culture. And it was hard. We let oh my gosh, we had a home here in Virginia Beach, and these are employees who've been with us for a long time. We decided they were cancerous. They had their own culture, contrasting to our culture. Every time we hired a good employee and sent them, would either be run off or fired because they got involved in all this. Staff all had the unemployment. I don't care because they're cancer. Making hard decisions. Culture can't be the crap just on the wall and the mission statement. It's got to be you're trying to live it the best you can. You require the people below you to live it and hopefully administer it, but you got to be militant about the minute you see somebody that is having a negative effect on the overall culture and they're spreading something other than what you want to spread, you got to make the call and get them out. We did it in Lynchburg. We did it in Danville. We did an acquisition in Danville, and there was a cluster of people who were had allegiance to the previous owner, which through some convoluted things had stolen a lot of money and gotten a lot of trouble. And so they were not necessarily a good character. Had to gut it. We let a lot of people go, and I cared about them as human beings. I just like, you can't destroy my company. So we did it there. We just did it in Lynchburg. God, we must have lost 8 people in Lynchburg over the last 2 years. It's one of my zombies, by the way. And then just did it here in Virginia Beach. We let go probably 8 or 9 people in a one group home or 2 group home area, totally cancerous. And it's hard. So the question, it's one of them, it's got to be real. You are making decisions based on the culture, and that comes first. It's a great performer, but if they're negative, they're destroying everything that you before you know it, you don't want to come to work. And that's when you sell on fire sale and you don't get any money for your company. So good question though. I could go on and on about cultural zombies, because that not paying attention to your company culture is a big one. And your personal satisfaction being an entrepreneur, real. So it's a good question. Any other questions? Okay, I will go on and on, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. And send me an email if you have any.